Ariel Helwani in Toronto for UFC 152 alongside Joe Jitsu, alongside Joe B1 Kenobi, alongside potentially the George Washington of the flyweights, Mr. Joseph Benavidez himself. Joseph, how are you?
Doing great, man. Really excited to be here.
This is a major moment for you and your career. Unbelievably, you almost set this up. You have a mantle in your house or apartment with a picture of the UFC title that you've been looking to replace with the actual UFC title. When did you set that up?
Just when I moved into my house, 2 years ago, which is roughly around the same time we signed to get in the UFC also, where the WC and UFC merged. So, it was just awesome. When you move into your house, you're decorating, pretty good at interior design, if I must say so. But missing something on the mantle, that's obviously like the centerpiece for the house. And I was like, I wish I had like a UFC belt, that would look perfect up there. And, I just printed out a little Polaroid picture, 4x6, tiny little piece of paper, to put up there and look at every day, until I get the real one. I was like, I'm not going to put anything else up there until I get it. So that's something I look at every day when I come home from practice, when I go to practice, when I'm just sitting on the couch, and just visualize, taking down that little piece of paper and putting a giant, shiny, belt up there. And it's a pretty amazing feeling. And the fact that that's just a few days away now, it's unbelievable, man.
And that was even before the flyweights were introduced. Yeah. Was there a time that you thought, and I asked Demetrious the same question, I'm curious to get your take, where you thought, I'm going to have a good career, I'm going to have great fights, but I may not ever realize my potential until I'm fighting at my natural weight? You're always fighting guys who are bigger than you. You did very well. You fought for the title. Yeah. Fortunately, you lost, but you were fighting guys who were so much bigger than you. You were at a disadvantage. Yeah. Did you ever sort of have to come to terms with that before they made this announcement that you may not live up to that potential of yours?
Yeah. There was always little rough patches in the 35-pound division. It was just an odd position for me. In my mind, I always knew, I was going to keep winning. They could stick me on Facebook, stick me on the undercard, as I'm talking about, is with rough patches, like stuff like that. But, I always knew I was going to beat everyone. I was capable of beating everybody, and it was just the fact of getting the fights in time, and I was just going to knock off everyone. So, I truly believed I would have been a champion, at that weight class. But just getting this opportunity to be the first ever champion and fight at 125 is just totally different. I know I can build, an even greater legacy here and really make my name as one of the best fighters, at any weight, at this weight class. So, like I said, man, there was a point, like not to reach your potential. And I definitely think I can reach an even higher potential here at 125.
The media workouts are just wrapping up. I'm wondering, have you been asked more questions about Demetrious Johnson, your opponent on Saturday night, or Michael Bisping, who you have had a bit of a back and forth with over social media?
Funny enough is I'm fighting Demetrious for the world title, and me and Bisping commented like once on Twitter, and the questions are about equal. Really? So yeah, it's pretty funny. But everyone, like, Bisping talks, and everyone likes to see that, and I don't talk much either. Like, I don't talk smack even to my opponents, so maybe people are surprised that I would say something. But when it comes down to it, it's just a joke. We obviously both have different opponents. He likes to talk smack to anyone that says anything to him. I mean, he could get in an argument with an empty room, I feel, if he had to. So it's nothing. And I was just joking and hanging around. I'm totally cool with him, as far as that goes.
I think he's a smart guy. I think he was actually trying to elevate you guys, give you guys the rub, put the spotlight on you. He's like, all right, that's my character. I have to talk smack, but I like these guys. They may not be as well known as I am, so I'm going to sort of, show them some of the attention. Do you think that may have been it?
I think people might not know how good of a guy Bisping is, I told him, even when I saw him, I said, good fun on Twitter, and he says, oh, yeah. And I was like, thanks for responding, because in reality, I mean, it brought, a lot of attention. I never got so many responses, and it was just awesome to see how passionate, our fans were, either, hating him or hating me, and like thinking I was dumb or he was dumb or whatever. So yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. And any attention on this card is good for me, for him, and for anyone else. Bring in Bones and Belfort, that makes it even better. So just that many more eyes and people that are gonna tune in and watch me do what I do.
Demetrious fought in June after the draw in March. You last fought in March. That was your only flyweight fight. Is that an advantage or a disadvantage for you that he's been more active than you this year?
No advantage or disadvantage that I feel is going to really make a difference. You know, I mean, yeah, he's made the weight and he's felt comfortable, but at the same time, I got to see him fight at the weight again, you know, so I had more time to prepare. And, you know, for me, I would look at it advantages anyway. It's kind of like a mental thing. You know, if I would have fought, I would be like, oh, if I was in Demetrious' spot, I would have been like, hey, I'm more active and I'm ready to go. This is my third fight at 125. But since I'm in my position, I'm like, hey, I got that much longer to prepare. I'm that much more hungry and ready to go in there. So yeah, man. I mean, I'm in my situation, obviously. So I just took this 6 months to get better. And the way I look at it is I'm a lot better right now than I would have been in June because I'm improving as a fighter every day. So I'm more dangerous now, and I'm hungry to get in there and do it.
It seems like when he wins, sometimes he sort of squeaks by, maybe a little controversial.
Like a mouse.
This guy's smart. Perhaps a little controversial. How do you avoid getting into that kind of game where he just squeaks by once again?
Yeah, he does have a tendency to do that. There's been some decisions, I guess, where people have thought they went, you know, the different way. And, you know, when it comes down to that, I think the judges just see him being so much more active than the other guy. You know, whether it's not landing and someone lands a power strike or takes him down, they see him moving the whole time. So, you know, it's just a case of getting my hands on him. And the great thing about us as a matchup is, you know, I like to outpace all my fighters, all my opponents, and that's what Demetrious does also. So it's going to be awesome, man. I think we're going to bring out the best in each other. You know, he throws 10 punches, and I know, back to your question, I have to throw 10 just to keep up with him, or he tries a takedown, I got to get one right after him. So, you know, I think you're just going to see nonstop action because I'm not going to let anybody, you know, outpace me. And, you know, that's definitely what he tries to do. So it's just the fact of going in there, once again, just the mentality of going in there and not letting him do it and staying on him the whole time.
What's his biggest weakness? What's the biggest part of his game that you're going to look to exploit on Saturday night?
I'm just looking to beat him everywhere. You know, it's great because no one's ever really beat him in a stand-up fight, and I feel no one's ever beat me in a stand-up fight. Even when we lost to Cruz, like, you know, we got taken down. He got taken down a lot worse and more times than I did. So, you know, there's that too. So it'd be fun to go in there and, you know, test each other on the feet. But as you've seen at this weight class, you know, the fights are going to go everywhere. And if you've seen his fights, he gets beat when he gets taken down, and he's been dominated on the ground. You know, he's been mounted on the back by Ian McCall and almost punched out, you know, mounted on the back and almost finished by Dominic Cruz. And I just look at that, and I think no matter what happened, no one would ever do that to me. No one's ever going to mount me on the back and just beat me up as much as they want, you know, and that's where people have got the advantages on him. So, you know, that's definitely a weakness of his, but, you know, I'm looking to exploit him everywhere.
All right, and just want to bring this up because a lot of people ask me about this. The UFC 149 when Uriah fought, obviously a big part of your team, Team Alpha Males, Master Tong, not here, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't come to Canada. Why not? Why won't he be here?
Legal issues.
Oh, I thought he just didn't like this country. I took it personally.
That's what it means. Yeah, Master Tong doesn't like Canada.
So how do you replace him? He's a big part of your team.
Yeah, Master Tong's a big part of the team, but, you know, I look at it as, hey, I'm coming into a fight. If I didn't have a cornerman, I would just go in there and fight. I would sit there and breathe and drink water for a minute and go in there and beat this guy up. So I got to kind of think like that. Not having Master Tong here, you know, is all right. But, I mean, you know, I got Justin Buckles and TJ Dillashaw, which are just my main drilling partners, which, you know, is important for this. And then I have another boxing coach coming in from Vegas that I've been working with. And a lot of people don't know that also, but the last 3 or 4 fights, you know, I've been getting some different coaching and spending, you know, 3 to 4 weeks out of my camp, you know, in Vegas, you know, working with different coaches and just trying to build my game. And, you know, I think I've seen a lot of improvement. So, you know, I'm finally having my boxing coach from there. Jimmy Gifford is his name, coming out to corner me.
Final question, what's your nickname on Saturday night?
I didn't go with a nickname contest. You know, previously Joby-Wan Kenobi and then the Beefcake. You know, when this tournament got announced, I just said, hey, I'm just going for first ever UFC flyweight champion, and I think that has a pretty good ring to it. So we'll go with that after the fight.
All right, well, history will be made on Saturday night. Joseph Benavidez versus Demetrious Johnson, the first ever UFC flyweight champion, will be crowned at UFC 152. Best of luck to you, Joseph.
Thank you, Ariel.